Let's tune in now to BMA Radio Show with your host, Socrates Garrett and Dr. J. Yes,
Hey, and welcome to BMA Radio Show. How you doing today, Sock?
I'm doing really good, Dr. J. Doing good. Good to be here. Looking forward to dialogue and conversation this evening. Tremendous things are happening in our community, and we want to share it with our listening audience.
Amen. Have you been looking at the numbers? For the last 3 or 4 days, we have had over 1,000 new COVID cases.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers, not only in Mississippi, but around the world. And clearly, we are in a time where, unprecedented time, where we're fighting an enemy that we have not seen before, cannot see now. And unless we establish and follow safe protocols, then, we're going to be in dire straits. So many friends and acquaintances have contracted this virus until it's just frightening. And I want to wish all of them well and a speedy recovery. All of the members of the legislature that found themselves victims to this virus, want to send out our prayers to just a few of them. I won't call names because we'll certainly miss somebody, but all of those individuals that are fighting against this virus, we are praying for you and we're wishing you a speedy recovery. And I need you to get back on the job, back at your post, and continue to do the work that's so desperately needed.
And for those out there that need a cleanup, a disinfectant, a deep cleaning, definitely call SGE COVID Solutions. Tell me a little bit about SGE COVID Solutions.
Yeah, clearly, you can go to our website, sgecovidsolutions.com, and you can see all of our products and our services there. I had an opportunity to be on the Larry Nick's show this week, Defining Moments. And we had great dialogue. Individuals called out of Natchez, out of Walnut Grove, out of all parts of the state. I wanted to know what is it that they could do to fight this virus. And we are happy that we've got the exclusive rights and the distributorship on ProGuardian, which is a completely safe, 100% biodegradable disinfectant. ProGuardian has been around since it's hypochloric acid, and it's been used since the 1858. It's being used in the military. It's being used by farmers that spray it on their crops to preserve their crops. It's the same solution that you use when you put in your contact lens in your eyes. It's the same solution that the dentists are using when you are having dental work done. So it's also found in the body, and it is a completely safe disinfecting cleaner. And so if you want to make yourself aware of this product, or if you want to acquire this product, then reach out to us on our website. That's sgecovidsolutions.com. And we'll be happy to get a salesperson out or a service technician to get out and visit with you. And let's talk about establishing safe protocols to keep you and your family safe and save lives.
So I believe everybody needs ProGuardian in their household, Mr. Garrett.
Yeah.
It's safe to spray on humans, food, pets, and even children.
Absolutely. It's an amazing product. And, as I said earlier, ProGuardian can only be purchased through SGE at this particular time because we have the exclusive rights to that product. And that was a major coup on our part to be able to do that. And so our parent company, SRS, was able to negotiate those relationships. And it's a product that if you haven't heard about, do your research on. Google it. Let's take a look at it and see how it's being used. One of the things we have to be concerned about now is because of the frequency and and the daily usages of products, we have to make absolutely certain that they're safe for your skin. You'll see that the CDC is now pushing back on hand soaps that contain ethanol and methanol because it's not meant to be a long-term product that you can put on your skin, and Lysol and things of that nature. So you just can't not use those products day in and day out without it creating some additional issues. So ProGuardian is 100% biodegradable disinfectant cleaner that will do the job.
Again, make sure you all try ProGuardian. You need it. It kills COVID-19. And you know, most Black people swear about bleach and Clorox. It is more effective and safer than Clorox.
Yeah, absolutely. Many people shy away from chlorine. We don't use chlorine much in our wastewater treatment facilities anymore to kill germs and bacteria. Move more toward ultraviolet solutions because chlorine is difficult to manage, and it certainly can cause some problems. When I first started out in business in 1980, I had a chemical manufacturing plant, and we used to make sodium hypochlorite, 4%, which is bleach. And in the building itself, it was so much erosion on the steel beams, et cetera, from that chlorine, until I would wonder, I said, I know if it's eating away at steel beams, I can imagine what it's doing to the inside of your body. So don't pay any attention to what the president said. It's not something you can consume. It's not something you can use every day. A lot of people have had issues with bleach and chlorines, inhaling it, causing failures in the lungs and other parts of the body. So you got to use something that's completely safe, and that would be ProGuardian. You know, Dr. J, I'd like to just tell our listening audience a little bit about our protocols. And one of the things that you got to know is, in order to fight this virus, you got to establish safe protocols on how you deal with your lifestyle, what changes you have to make, and how you try and protect yourself. And so, you know, we have a set of protocols that we share with our customers and our clients. And the first one is that we have facial recognition, temperature control, and contact tracing all included in our tablet. And so when we go to a business or we go to a church or school, we establish the protocol. So the first thing that happens is anyone approaching the building would go through this tablet. Their tablet would recognize them and remember them, quite frankly, and would identify whether or not they have elevated temperature. If their temperature is greater than 100, then it would sound the alarm and you would be able to get that person some assistance. So that's an important first part of our protocol. After that, we go through our hand sanitizing station. In our hand sanitizing station, we utilize non-alcoholic hand sanitizers that are made from a base product of chlorhexidine. And these products will stay on your hands for up to 8 hours when we use our Q8. It'll stay on your hands up to 8 hours. So if you apply it to your children's hands before they leave home in the mornings, at least you know they're protected in that way. And all of these things are dependent upon the number of washes that they have during the day. But statistically, we know it lasts that long. So we go through that, and we use Safe Palm is another hand soap that we recommend. And the manufacturer of it recommends that it will stay on your hands up to 24 hours with up to 10 washes of your hands. So you go through the hand sanitizing step in our protocol. So let's check your temperature. Let's do contact trace and get you some help if you need some. If not, you enter into the facility, go to the hand sanitizing stations and get your hands protected. Then we move inside of our decontamination chamber. This is our misting tent that many of you are familiar with. And in the decontamination chamber, we introduce ProGuardian. And ProGuardian is sprayed and mist on the individual from their heads all the way down to their feet, front and back. And this is designed to kill the virus if the virus is on your clothing. And so that's our decontamination chamber. Then when you exit the chamber, we want you to walk on our decontamination mat. And the mat has ProGuardian inside. And when you step on the mat, it releases ProGuardian to the bottom of your shoes. Because many people don't know that this virus is transmitted on the bottom of our shoes. When someone sneezes and those droplets hit the ground and we step right in that we're transporting those viruses. So the final step of our first protocol is to exit the chamber through our mats and kill the virus on the bottom of your feet. Now that we call our safe zone. So the individual has been checked, he's gone through the protocol, his hands are clean, clothes are clean, the bottom of his feet is clean. Now you're entering into a building. And so it would do no good to enter into a building where the virus was running rampant. So our second protocol is to allow us to come out and test your facility. We can test your facility to see if that virus exists and give you the results back in 90 minutes. That's 90 minutes. We come in, we swab your high-touch areas. And the high-touch areas is where most of your traffic goes, like your bathrooms, your doorknobs, your handrails, common interest places where multiple people are touching all of the time. And if we find that virus there in that building, then we would recommend to you that you do deep cleaning and that you do fogging to kill that virus. And then after you deploy both of those techniques, we come back and retest your facility to make certain that that virus is gone. And so that's step 2 in our protocol. We test your building. If the virus is there, then we deep clean it, and then we fog it, and we retest. And that's protocol number 2 for your building. Then the third part of our protocol is that we train your janitorial staff so that we don't have to come back out and do this for you, so that they'll know how to deploy the products and how to institute the protocols designed to keep your visitors, your clients, and your family safe for this virus. And we have several other products that we recommend that you have in your home, which we call our home package, that you can use to keep your home safe. So most of you won't have decontamination chambers at home, and you won't have all of these things that I mentioned in terms of contact tracing and temperature tablets at your door, because they're quite expensive. But you can do some things specifically, and we have home packages for as little as $350 that includes the ProGuardian spray bottle, antibacterial soap, the mats, and other things that you can have in your home. And then you spray your homes down, fog your home with these spray balls with ProGuardian, and designed to keep your home safe. And then finally, we kill this virus in the air with our unit called Pyridine. Pyridine actually attacks the virus in the air because it is airborne. And we utilize that system to control the air scrubbing and air filtration system to kill that virus in the air and in your bathrooms, etc. If you will do this, if you will implement protocols, safe protocols, you have a good chance of beating this virus and not contracting this virus during your daily activities.
So you all fight COVID-19 by controlling the environment.
Absolutely. It's the only way you can fight it. The only way you can fight it is not to contract it in the first place. And so you got to put things in place to do that. And to all our schools that are trying to reopen, all our churches that are reopening, we get calls every day about someone in that environment that has contracted this virus. And they want to know, what can we do? Well, once the virus is in the facility, then we have to institute these protocols that we talked about to go in, test the facility, deep clean it, fog it, and then retest it again, and then implement these protocols we talked about.
And you also do human tests as well.
Well, the human test is another part of the technology that we're bringing into this marketplace for the first time. When you look at the news, you see that the long lines of people that are trying to get tests for this virus, and it's taken up to 3 to 5 to 7 days for those test results to come back. We have a unit now that will test for this virus, and it is not done by swabs, and they don't have to stick anything up your nose. It can be done by finger pricking, just like you would test for sugar. And that unit would tell you whether or not you have contracted that virus within 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 minutes. So imagine, think about this. If you have someone that contracted the virus in the fire department, and you don't know exactly what to do. So the tendency then is to send everybody home, quarantine themselves, get tested, and then go quarantine themselves for 3 to 7 days, wait on your test results, and then come back. Well, if we do that, then the entire fire department has to go home. And then our citizens are not covered in that regard. So the ability to test for this virus in 10 minutes would allow you to run that test, tell that individual whether or not they have a problem, and allow them to go back to work. Now, think of the economics of that. All of the downtime associated with delayed test results. And so it's going to be a game changer. It is a tremendous technology. We look forward to bringing it into Jackson, Mississippi very, very, very soon.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. So make sure you all definitely call SGE COVID Solutions for all of your COVID-19 solutions.
You can do that. You can contact us on our website, and we'll get you a quote back the same day. We have been swamped with calls, but we're beefing up our staff and adding telephone lines to our systems, utilizing the technology there like eVoice, and so that we can have rapid response to the many, many calls that we're getting. So please reach out to us at sgecovidsolutions.com.
Wow, thank you so much. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to We Believe TV. Welcome to We Believe TV. We are inspired by bold and spirited believers ready to adopt an innovative approach for speaking the word so that others' faith might grow from hearing the word, which gives rise to hope. Watch your church worship service live, our collection of faith-based programming, as well as original content, right here on We Believe TV. How and when you want, anytime and anywhere you want. Sign up now.
WeBelieve.tv.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee. To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
All righty. So make sure you all call SGE COVID Solutions. What else we got going on today?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about our sponsors a little bit. Certainly, this is BMA, the Business and Ministerial Alliance radio show. And BMA is an organization designed to assist this community in getting back on track. And we fight for things. Certainly we fight for taking down the flag, and certainly we are involved in all of the civil rights issues and economic issues that are going astray in our community. And when the business leaders and our ministers come together, and we come together in Business and Ministerial Alliance to decide upon who represents us and how they represent us so that we can change the direction that our city and our state is going in. We continue to spiral downward in many, many categories. We're last in almost everything that's good and first in everything that's bad. And so the community is going to have to get active.
All right, we got a call. Hello, call you on the air. What's your question or comment?
Good evening. How you all doing today?
We're doing good.
Doing
How
fine.
about you?
Pretty good. Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
you know, something has to be done about all these shootings. It's just too much. Now, I build a lane center a lot. You don't hear that kind of stuff. Why these jokers won't have the same respect? Jackson, but they got respect when they go there. If they got anything wrong with their car or something exactly right, they're gonna make sure they get it right before they go over there and make county. Now,
Well, yeah, Carly, you're right. I can't answer the question in terms of why we don't have more respect for ourselves. It's we're in a downward spiral, Carla, as I indicated. And so, we're going to have to work with our young people. We're going to have to work with our leaders, and we're going to have to establish some standards that we as a community are going to have to uphold. The police department are not able to police all of our citizens and all of our children, especially. And so on Sunday evening, on this evening, when I leave here on Livingston Road, there will probably be 2,000 teenagers, and they will have blocked the street, and there won't be police anywhere to be seen. And so, I understand, sending one police officer into that environment is not a good thing. I mean, so we don't have as many police as they have in the street. We have less than 300 probably, and there's 2,000 of them right there. Excuse me, caller. And so I don't know what we're going to have to do. One, we're going to have to find some jobs for them. We're going to have some recreation facilities that they can go to. We need to create an area that allows them to show their cars, to be young folk, to do what they're trying to do in a safe zone. We create baseball fields, we create soccer fields. We got to create an avenue for them so that they can display their assets. Our young people don't have much. And so when you see them walking with a pit bull, that's his prized asset. That's the grand sum total of his net worth. And they take that seriously. And so when you see them in their cars and their nice rims, and I'm amazed at how clean they keep those cars and keep those wheels clean, and because that's their pride and joy. And so they have decided that it's not for them to have a Mercedes-Benz or a Cadillac or a BMW. They have decided that the car value is a 1981 Delta 88. And you see most of them riding in those vehicles. One is the car doesn't have any electronics in it, so they can fix it. When you move up to vehicles that have all the electronics on it, they can't work on them. But the old style engines and transmissions, they can repair that in their backyard. And so it's part of our responsibility is to find a way to allow them to express themselves safely without creating all of this noise and destruction of property in our communities, in quiet zones and where the elderly are. So we have enough land in Jackson to do that. So I'm encouraging our leaders, political leaders, to fix that problem and by giving them a place to go so they can get out of these parking lots and off of these streets and show off their assets.
Mr. Garrett, you mentioned BMA. How do people join BMA?
Well, you join BMA certainly by expressing interest. And Dr. J, I would love them to call you. You are Executive Director of BMA, and all of our pastors, we want you to become members. We've had lots of meetings, and every season during the political season, we seem to get more active. But we've done some great things. I know we've sent truckloads of water over in the Carolina area when the storm hit, and we reached out and housed people and clothed them. And we got lots of things we're going to bring to the environment pretty soon. I'm looking forward to us being able to provide suits for young men. And we want to be able to make certain that every young man has a suit. Can you imagine what it's like for a young man to have his first suit, a suit of clothes? You imagine what that does to his self-esteem and his value? We can provide things like that so that we can kind of raise his value. And if you, listening audience, if you remember our conversation with Pastor Kruger, you know, we talked about reparations is something that we need after we talk about taking the flag down, but there are specific things we got to do now that it's down. Now, if we don't, they'll put it back up. And so one of those things is we have to demand some change for our people. And reparations was one of those things. And what do we mean by reparation? We're not talking about 40 acres and a mule. We got no place to keep no mule. And we're not going to work 40 acres. So that's not the answer for us. And cash money is not the answer for us, because it would be right back in the hands of the oppressor, the 30 days after
give me my cash.
So no, you don't need it. You wouldn't have it 3 weeks after we gave it to you. And so it wouldn't make any significant change in our life. So one of the things we talked about doing was to make sure that every child, every African-American child would have a free college education paid for if they were born after 2010.
Wow.
Every child should have their education paid for completely as a form of reparations if they were born after 2010 in the state of Mississippi.
Healthcare.
Mississippi should lead with this. There are a lot of things that we have deficits in, and we probably won't be able to fix them all in this one document, but that's one, making certain that we get an education to our children. Because education has been and always will be the most important thing that our children can get. So we want the education paid for. Secondly, we want them to have a life insurance policy of $100,000. Now, I'm not wanting them to have that so that somebody can knock somebody in the head to collect the insurance money. But what we're trying to say is that that individual now, instead of the pit bull being his asset, or the shiny rims being his asset, or the Delta 88 Oldsmobile being his only asset, we're now saying your life is valued at $100,000 because here's your life insurance policy. So now that child is getting education and they have a life insurance policy. And insurance policies create generational wealth, because the individual that you gave the policy to can't spend it. It means that he's got to leave that money to the next generation after them. And then we start to make changes in our community. So, BMA is on the battlefield trying to work with ministers and business people to make critical changes in our community. And then to work with our political people. We're not abandoning our political leaders. We really got to get their attention to the extent that they recognize that what they're doing currently is not working, to the extent that they recognize that they need the help of the senior citizens in our community who have the experience and the wisdom on knowing how to run something and how to do things, and seek out that advice and counsel. Then they're not going to be successful. They're arrogant and they think they have all of the answers. And I guess at that age, I might have thought the same thing, that I had all of the answers and that my daddy didn't know what he was talking about. But that's not the case. If we're going to fix this, we're going to have all of the brain trusts in our community at the table, being respected, being counted upon, asking what can and should we do. And there's just a few things that we'd like to recommend to them that ought to be done. One is that we have to redevelop our resources into our city. Our dollars have to stay in our city. Go ahead, Dr. J.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
what do you see in the foreseeable future as far as economic growth in Jackson?
Yeah, it could be immediate. The economic growth in this city could happen overnight. I'm not one of those leaders that think that, we got to have some 20-year plan or some 10-year plan to change things. We can change this overnight. Good leadership has a tremendous impact immediately. That's why you have some football teams that are 0-11 and they change their coach and they're in the Super Bowl in the next year because it's a leadership. It's somebody who knows how to implement systems, someone who understands how to put protocols in place, someone who understands economics. If we would, in fact, spend our dollars on our citizenry in Jackson, we would change the economic skyline of Jackson immediately. And the white folk expect us to do that. It's just that we're not doing it. By that, I mean, let's take the $1 billion that are going through our 4 economic engines that many of you have heard me speak about: the city, the county, the school system, and the airport authority. Let's have an economic summit and bring those engines to the table and sit down and say, look, all goods and services from under $50,000 that you're buying shall be bought from an African-American owned business. Right. And if they don't have an African-American owned business in the community right now, we will recruit one. Yep. We will go to Atlanta. We will go to Baltimore. We will go to New York City. We will find an African-American owned business who's willing to reinvest back in our community, put their headquarters here, not a branch. People that put branches here, all of the tax dollars and benefits go out of the state. We got to have you domiciled in our city, not in our county, but in our city. And so we can institute those kind of policies. Now, let me tell you this. Leadership could do things like, for example, we know that Jackson cannot grow north. It cannot grow to the east. It cannot grow to the west. Clinton's got us blocked off. Ridgeland's got us blocked off. Lincoln County's got us blocked off. The only place we can grow is to the south. Now, we allowed Byram to become a city and blocked us off there, even though I know that Mayor Harvey Johnson fought hard to annex that area so that the city could grow in that direction. But we were not successful because of bigotry and racism. We were not allowed to annex Byram, even though we supply them with water and part of their infrastructure. So the only place we really can grow is south down Highway 18, down toward Raymond. And that's where the Metro Center sits, in that corridor. We got to develop our Highway 80 corridor and our Highway 18 corridor. That's where we got to put our money. Now, years ago, the school system knew that they needed to build new schools down in that area. That's why you have the new school that's down south in South Jackson, the middle schools. That's why you're having the expansion with Forest Hill, because there are no children in Northeast Jackson. There are no children in in North Jackson. And so all of our kids are down south. So we have to put money in that area. And the first thing that I would recommend to our young mayors and our young council people and our young leaders is to move City Hall. Now, I know this is going to shock you, and I know you think it's too drastic and something that maybe you can't do. Move City Hall. Move Jackson Public School System. Both of those engines need to move into the Metro Center.
You know we don't own that building that City Hall is in, you know it.
Well, I don't know who owns it, but I know it's prime real estate. And I know that if we do own it, we can get a good dollar for it and we can get income from it. But put City Hall in the Metro Center and put Hinds County and put Jackson Public School in the Metro Center. Now, do you have any idea what that would do to that part of the city? It would bring all of our citizens would come out in that area. We would redevelop that corridor. We would put things and other businesses would come. When those businesses thought that Hinds County was coming into the Metro Center with a training center, which by the way was a blatant display of bigotry and racism that stopped that from happening. But when those businesses thought that they were coming into that corridor, then you saw Crystals build a new building there at the Metro Center. A new building. You saw Arby's do a new building in that corridor. You saw Burlington. You saw other folks. The banks that said they were going to put a branch in the Metro Center simply because that traffic was coming out there. And so if our leaders are serious and they know that's the only ways that we can grow and that's where the majority of our citizenry locate, then let's move out there in the middle of them. Let's go to where our base is, where our strength is, and build that up. Let's don't fight over the $1.6 million that Brother Stamps was fighting to get in the corridor from the Grand Gulf money. Let's not fight and keep that money out of that corridor. Let's all move in that direction. Let's say that this is what we're committed to, and we're going to bring Jackson back, and Highway 80 and Highway 18 are going to be the stellar, the most beautiful, pristine areas of our city. Our leadership can do that.
It's possible.
Now, the other thing is, our money's got to stay in our community. In other communities, it turns over 10, 11 times. In our community, it doesn't turn over one time. It's gone. Part of the reason is our citizens, our consumers, don't understand the role that they need to play in bringing this back. Don't understand why it is that we don't have one Black-owned restaurant in the city of Jackson. Well, let me back up, because Sweetie Pies is down there, and I compliment them on investing in this city. I had a chance to visit their restaurants when I was in St. Louis several months ago, and that's what we're going to have. But it's 175,000 citizens in Jackson, which 90% are Black, African American, and we don't have any place to go eat. We don't have we got to run to Cha, or we got to go out in Rankin County to Table 100, or we got to go up to Bonefish. We don't have a quality restaurant in our city that we can take our family and our friends when they're in town. And it's 175,000 of us. Wow. Look out, Jacksonians. It's 175,000 of us. We can do anything. Yeah. We can rebuild this city. We can eradicate poverty. We can fix the healthcare issues. We can do all of this and be a shining star in the midst of a ruin. Jackson can. And if we don't, leaders, listen to me good. If we don't show leadership if we don't come together as a people, and if we don't invest into one another, and we allow the enemy to divide us because of some silliness and foolishness, then they will move the capital of Mississippi out of Jackson. Just as sure as you want to change the name of Jackson to eradicate our memories of all of these monuments, and I understand that, but they will move the capital to Rankin County and would have done it already. So if it were not for the tremendous infrastructure and investment that has already been done here in Jackson, because we have these hospitals, because we are the medical corridor of the state of Mississippi, and because the state capital is here, they can't just easily pick up and run. But don't get it twisted. If the citizens of Jackson don't come together and start fighting for one another and then fighting for everybody else in our community, we will all lose. So I'm looking forward to the day when young politicians will say, hey, I need you to come down and visit with me, talk with me, let's talk about how other cities are doing it, what are you seeing? How did Atlanta do it? How did Cleveland do it? How did Strickland in Memphis, Tennessee make a significant impact in the economic development in the Black community? How are these things happening? And they're happening because committed leadership with a vision is listening and implementing strategies that work. I'm looking forward to that day.
So we ask you all to join us. Call in 601-948-5950. Again, that number is 601-948-5950. Mr. Garrett, you have so much knowledge. You need to put this knowledge to use.
I'm putting it to use right now. That's the purpose of me being on this radio show.
But we thank you for your knowledge.
I'm putting it on full display. I'm out here every day. You know, God's blessed me with the talents for business development. You know, he gives everybody different things. I can't sing, but I understand how to put together an organization and build an infrastructure and how the right people empower them and get out of their way so that we can grow a business. So I have brought many businesses to Jackson, Mississippi. I started my first chemical manufacturing plant in Jackson on Upton Avenue in 1980.
Wow.
We were manufacturing, making our own products. I didn't want to be a wholesaler or a distributor. I wanted us to be a producer. I want us to manufacture things. I want the African American business community to be self-sufficient in every way. Because if you're not, you get cut off. I remember the egg man that wanted to put in a chicken processing plant. And he couldn't find feed for his biddies. He got the chicken processing plant, but they cut off his supplies. Go ahead.
Hey, Carl, you're on the air. What's your question or comment?
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
have you ever, since you're a full-time businessman, have you ever thought about trying to get a bunch of young men together and teach them how to be working operators and operate trucks and just do construction work and all that,
Yeah, I do that every day. When I hire a young African-American person, the first thing that I tell them is that when you leave here, I want you to be able to run your own business, or I want you to be able to demand a job with a high paying salary because of your competency when you leave here. So I don't pigeonhole my people into one thing. They get to see the entire operation. They see it from the manufacturing side, the construction side. They see it from the accounting side. They see it from the taxation. side. They see every element of that business as tremendously important to them. Truck drivers are not just truck drivers. I explain to my truck drivers and I explain to my staff members when I have a meeting with everybody, all of my 55 employees. I'm down from 100 because my business has been slowed down. But when I have a meeting with 55 of them, I explain to them that the most important people in this operation, in this organization, are my truck drivers. And yet they get paid least, but they're the most important people. And that's because of the way we value things, and we got to change that. They're important because every day when they leave that yard in a truck with 80,000 pounds of cargo behind his head in the traffic, it is a potential disaster. And unless you got good, high skill, competent, drug-free people, it's a bad situation waiting to happen. Then they'll be calling Richard Swartz and others. And so we have to recognize and train our people. We have to tell our track hoe operators and our dozers, everybody that's operating heavy equipment, is safety first. I don't pay drivers by a percentage of what they take in, like many companies. Because if you do, they then have to drive faster and they have to take shortcuts to try and make more money. So I pay them by the hour, and I tell them that the number one priority is safety first. You don't have to run, you don't have to cut corners, you don't have to try to get somewhere first, you don't have to worry about you didn't get many loads. Safety first. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And so we teach all of this to our young people. We also spend a lot of time visiting probation officers, going with people that are second offenders, giving them a second chance, because drugs has devastated our skill sets. It's been hit harder than any other sector. Our heavy equipment operators, our plumbers, our electricians, those individuals have been decimated, and there are no young people coming behind them that know how to do this or want to know how to do this. And so technology is helping. Now you can put almost anybody on a dozer. It's got a laser on it, and if you can just sit in the seat, you know, it'll hit the grades for them. It's all predetermined. So the technologist is trying to compensate for the fact that we don't have the same skill sets in our community that we used to have. But you got to pay the people that are there that do know what they're doing. So plumbers are making more than lawyers. Electricians can make more than doctors. And so we got to get vocational schools back in our high schools and in our colleges and in the junior colleges. And let me just say this about Mississippi and its training programs. We don't have a Department of Labor like a lot of states. All of our training dollars go through our junior colleges, and we call it workforce development. And that's fine, but the people that need to be trained won't come to the campus. They're not coming to Hines. They're not coming to Utica. They're not coming to East Jones because they don't have no way to get there. And so we're gonna have to take our training programs to the community, to the people. We gotta have mobile units that are moving through communities, training individuals on heavy equipment, training them on how to drive trucks, training electricians and welders, etc. but they can't and won't come to the colleges. First of all, you want to get them in a GED and get them back in some learning environment. Well, they didn't do well in that the first time. That's why they didn't graduate from high school. So their skill set and their mindset is not right for that.
Hello, caller, you on the air. What's your question or comment?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to ask President Garrett a couple of things. What particular economic sector, if we just had to focus on maybe one or two, do you think we would be most successful in and would be more practical to get started? And what I mean by that is, do you think it would be real estate, construction, selling hair? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
What particular economic sector, maybe one or two sectors that we can really focus on and dominate? For example, like the Indians, I guess they own the convenience stores, just about every convenience store.
Yeah.
And that looked like it was strategically done.
Yeah, it was. It was. Carter, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
And so
Carter.
that's what I'm saying, strategically.
Yeah.
What economic sector do you think that we could just focus on, target, and just take it to the next level?
Yeah.
And then the second question I want to ask you is, what is the biggest hindrance to Black businesses? And I think I've asked you that before, and you said that a loyal customer base and revenue. And I just want to know how we can attack those issues. I'm going to hang up and listen to it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Carla. Well, many of us understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food and shelter, etc. So what we got to do and focus on, Carla, is we got to focus on those things that fuel our community, the needs of our community, provide for the needs of your community. So let's just say that, for example, the biggest sector that we have to change our economic status is in our infrastructure. Every time Washington or white folk, or you hear them say, we want to change the community, we want to put this money in roads and bridges and streets in the infrastructure. Why do they say that? They say that because that puts all of these different people to work. And if you put all of your folk to work in your community, then those dollars turn over in there and you raise that community up. So until you stop riding around in Jackson and seeing all of these white folk fixing all of our streets, fixing all of our sewer lines, fixing all of the sidewalks, putting down all of the asphalt, running our wastewater plants, running our drinking water plants, all white folk. And until we stop and say we're going to invest in our infrastructure. Go ahead, Dr. J. Dr. J.
Hello, caller, you on the air. What's your question or comment? Caller.
Hello,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
What's your question or comment?
My comment is in regard to workforce training. I am listening in from Walnut Grove.
Is that you, Miss Henson?
I am here.
I enjoyed visiting with you the other day.
Good. I'm very I'm just enjoying the session on today. And my comment is some of the things that I'm hearing on the discussion tonight, it's not so complicated. And what I feel like there are skill-based people in our community who are skill-based and trained already in certain both technical skills. Why can't those people be part of the community training force to help calico the next generation of both tech laborers, carpenters,
electricians, construction workers, those type things. It just sounds like sometimes we are not utilizing the experiences of generations of skill bases that's already in our community, but rather we politicize things to so much until it becomes complicated, and we don't get things done that need to be done at the time we need to be in those things need to be taking place right now.
You're absolutely right, and that was my point, that we can't push all of the money through our traditional ways of training, through the junior colleges and the workforce development deals. We got to take that trainings into the community where the people are, and we got to utilize the talent and the skills of those individuals that are there to do that training. We got to invest money that way and mobilize our training and our workforce development, and we'll get more done. But I want to finish up on that infrastructure piece for the call as well. If we spend so much money, we spend hundreds of millions of dollars in our infrastructure, callers. If we would invest in our own people to do that, we would change the skyline immediately. So infrastructure is the one thing that I say that we really got to focus on, developing our people to take care of that. We can't hire public works directors that are white and from out of state.
You say we for the people.
We can't do that. We have to hire our own people. And we've invested a lot into them. We put a lot of money and time in Thelma Boyd, who's around here in our city somewhere. We put a lot of money and time into Kelvin Dean, Elmore Moody, for them not to be doing this engineering work.
You got 1 minute, Mr.
It's all engineering. So we got to get inside of there. And I'd like to continue this for this caller, because the other sector that our community needs more than anything else is food. So infrastructure, food, and housing. If we would focus on those three things, we would change the skyline. We would rid ourselves of economic devastation and poverty. We would change who we are tomorrow.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to BMA Radio. See you next week, same time, same station. Let's hear from our sponsors.
Welcome to We Believe TV. We are inspired by bold and spirited believers ready to adopt an innovative approach for speaking the word so that others' faith might grow from hearing the word, which gives rise to hope. Watch your church worship service live, our collection of faith-based programming, as well as original content, right here on We Believe TV. How and when you want, anytime and anywhere you want. Sign up now.
WeBelieve.tv.
Have you had your earthblend? Have you had your earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee. To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
Thank you all for watching.